Distinguished guests, hello there. My name is Max, also known as MKaren, and today I have a bit of a special video for you. As you may know, you follow me on Twitter, I am in the final hours of a book. I am almost done with a book, and today I want to just take a second to talk about my experience, being once again at the precipice of the end. This story has been not hard to write, but it's been different to write. You really should take it to heart when I tell you that every book is its own different beast, and this book has been very sad from the beginning. You could say this has been quite a sad beast. It's a very sad story, and I'll talk more about the ending as we walk towards there. But one of the things I was talking about recently on Twitter is that one of my most recent writing sessions was hard. And it wasn't hard because of the subject matter, because the story's sad. Or it wasn't hard because writing itself is hard. It was hard because I realized just how little there is left to this story. As of the time of me recording this right now, there is probably 3 more times I will sit down to write, and then the story will be over. And that's scary. It's a scary thought because you spend so long writing a book, and you spend so long, you know, showing up and doing your thing and committing to the writing, that when you finally realize it's gonna be over, it feels a little unbelievable. And it is unbelievable because I've spent so long working on this book. This is a really long book. We're talking about, like, it's upwards of, like, it's on the really high 200s. It might even be 300 pages once I realize it. I don't know. I always end up having to add a lot to my stories. Some writers take out, I put in. Mostly because I always forget to describe things. That's why revision is your friend, though. You don't have to write it right the first time. You just have to write it. Or rather, it doesn't have to be good. It only needs to be written. And this story's been long, and I've been working on it for a while, and it's been a sad story. And I guess I have to give context for why it is sad. It's sad in a hopeful way. It's one of those bittersweet, sad stories where you already know where it's gonna go from page 1. There is no mystery about what's going to happen. It's very clear, it's very straightforward, and I made sure in the first draft, I made sure that the reader would know without question where this story is going. And I actually, I was gonna say I want to give myself credit for making that clear, but in reality the story worked out for me. The story gave me the chances to make that point very clear, and I just took them. As I said, every story is different, and this story collaborated with me a lot. There were times when I wasn't sure where it was going, but I just trusted in there, and, you know, we entered some dark tunnels, but came out on the other side way better than we did before. It's gonna require a lot of editing, as all stories do. Mostly because, as always, the first third is way different than the rest of the story. Again, after the first third of the story, I know what the characters sound like, I know who they are, and it's just a matter of making sure the first part of the story makes sense with the rest of the story. But this story's been sad. It's been sad from day one, and when I sat down a couple days ago, I was looking over my outline, which, yes, I had written in a napkin, mostly because I didn't pack any sticky notes with me. So I opened up my notebook, and there it is. There's a napkin. There's a brown coffee shop napkin, and there are my notes there. It's like 4 lines of what I think should maybe hopefully happen in the next handful of chapters. And it was a list. It was a list of, let's say, 8 items. Let's say 10 items. And I thought, okay, yeah, one of these will be a chapter, and that'll be it. And then I thought that when I wrote that list. But then that morning, when I went to write, and I opened up my notebook, and I realized, whoops, wow, I'm such a hipster. I wrote it actually on a napkin. I looked at that list of 10 items, and I did a mental thing. And maybe Max from the future will animate this, so you know what I'm saying. I looked at it, and I just said, oh, Those first 5 are just one chapter. That's just one chapter. And then it hit me. That's the rest of the book. You know, because when you look at, you know, at 10 or so items on a list, you go, oh yeah, no, it's 10 more chapters left. Pfft, they're so long. Oh, and one of those chapters is probably gonna go long. I need not worry about the end of the story. And then I sat down and I just mentally partitioned off the chapters that are left. And that's it. And let me tell you something. There is less than 2 items left for me right now. And that's scary. It's weird being once again back at the ending of a story. And it was funny, because I was going to make a tweet about how, like, I can't not ever write anything happy. And that's not true. That's not true, because the last book I released, my novella, Masks of Glass, that was a really happy book. That was a really happy book. That has a happy ending. So I had to re-workshop my tweet in my head, where I was like, okay, Masks of Glass was so happy and full of joy that all I had left inside of me was sadness. And that's, of course, being facetious. It's a joke. But it felt real to me as I finished my last writing session a couple of days back. And I was like, there are probably 2, maybe 3 writing sessions left in this book. 3 more days and it will be over. And that's weird. That's really weird. It's downright bizarre to realize that the story's gonna be over again. And some of you out there may be thinking, Max, haven't you written like a dozen novels? I'm like, yeah. It's still weird. And this story challenged me in ways that I hadn't expected. And I guess it's time for me to talk about the big thing. The big thing that came to me, and the big thing that I wanted to talk about today, because writing can be hard and stressful, and it is, with good reason, but there is something I want you to take from this, and something that I wasn't able to externalize until I was walking home. When I finished my writing session, and I was walking home, and I felt this strange, really sad, but also scary feeling in my chest. And it had nothing to do with the book ending. That's just a terrible reduction. It has to do with the ending, but it's not about the ending. I realized, as I was walking home, that the book is almost over. And all the times I was holding back on the sadness, TM, all the times I was holding back on the sadness because it wasn't the ending. All the times where I reduced my power level because I didn't want it to be too sad because it's not the ending yet. I'm waggling my finger back and forth. It's not the ending yet. No. It can't be world-shattering, rendering, sundering sad. And then I realized as I was walking home, and a really sad song came on the playlist. And I thought to myself, all limiters off. Flick all the switches on, everything to 110%. We're gonna make this so sad. It's gonna be so sad. And it was one of those empowering and terrifying and sad feelings. Because listen, this book has been sad from day one. And I'm not going to back down on the sadness that comes to me. I know this ending is going to be sad. It's going to be really sad. I'm not saying it's going to be unfortunate or a bad ending, but there is sadness involved here. And it's really easy to feel that sense of hesitation. Of like, I don't want it to be too sad. But I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. You cannot cook rice with lukewarm water. Do not be lukewarm water. Be boiling water. And listen, for the next 2 writing sessions, I'm going to be boiling water. Limiters off. All the switches on. All the knobs turned to 110%. We do this. And I want you to take a second and memorize this. Acknowledge it. Write it down somewhere. Then when the time comes, when the story demands you to commit to it, you commit to it. There's a lot of self-doubt, especially with writing, because and it doesn't matter for how long you've been writing, everyone deals with this. At some point, the sneaky little thought sneaks into your head and tells you, what are people gonna think about this? If it's too sad, no one will like it. And it is at this point, because I'm very familiar with that thought. Okay, listen, I've been writing books for forever. That thought doesn't go away. But what does change is our ability to tackle it down onto the ground the instant it shows up. I got that thought and immediately thought to myself, well, this story is sad, and it wants me to be sad, and the story demands that I, as the writer, show up. So guess what? I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up to the next writing sessions. I'm gonna show up with no limiters, all the switches on, 110%. Let's go. Commit to the story you're writing. Do not allow that tiny little sneak of a voice to make that story anything less than what it deserves to be. I hate rewriting chapters. I hate having to recapture the energy of a scene. So whatever the scene requires of me, I capture it as candidly, as blazing white hot as it requires me to do so. And I hope I can inspire you to do the same. You can edit it later. You can make it whatever you need later. But you only get to write that story once. And I would be heartbroken. I know I would be heartbroken if I allowed that sneaky little sneak of a voice to keep me from recording this story, the very last part of the story, with anything less than the emotion it requires of me. I don't know. I'm very. To me, storytelling is so important, and the emotion of a writer is so very important. And it always pains me when a writer or a groups of writers, depending if it's a show or a book or a movie or whatever it is, don't commit. Commit to your story. You can't cook rice with lukewarm water. Be boiling water. If it's sad, make it really sad. And if it's happy, make it really happy. Commit to the story. Okay. Alright. Okay. Listen. Commit to your story. And if anything, I hope this video today, or this audio log, excuse me, give you a different point of view. Or just give you insight into the way someone tackles this. Endings are always hard, but I think what matters at the end of the day is that when the time comes to write, we sit down, we get writing done, and we commit to the story. Hi there. This little audio log here is a little all over the place. Also, if you're wondering why this is an audio log and not like an actual video, I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning. I'm having a really busy week this week, mostly because of writing and also personal things. Kitty's sick, so I'm taking care of her. So I hope you don't mind an audio log, just to, you know, get you going for this week. I have a lot of writing to do, and this book might even be over by the next time we talk. We'll have to wait and see. For now, I want to thank you for tagging along. If you enjoy my content, give it a like. It would mean a lot to me. I make videos like this every single week. And if you enjoy my silliness, please consider following me on Twitter. Twitter.com/Mr. Karen is my place. Is where I post my hashtag relatable writing things. And I also sometimes post jokes that no one finds funny, but that's fine, because we commit to the joke. Okay, alright, okay, I'm done with that bit. If you enjoy my content and you want to get more of this and see it early and way more cool perks, consider checking out my Patreon. Patreon.com/mkaren is the number one place to support me and what I do. $1 $1 a month is all. It's all you need to pledge to get to watch my videos a week in advance and get a bunch of other really cool perks. You may think that $1 is not enough, but actually $1, consistent $1 donations makes the biggest bulk of what's helping me continue to make these videos. So if you've ever wondered, you know, how can I make sure that Max can continue to make videos like this? Well, Patreon is the place to go. You can also get other cool things like access to my super duper secret podcast, physical copies of my writing zine that I may allow every single month, and of course, a shout out. These patrons are some of the coolest, and I love them, and they're helping me create this content, and that just means the world to me. The ability to be able to sit down and tell you guys what I really think, without having to rely on like partnerships, because I do get those all the time, but I'm just like, I don't want to just sell you a product here. I just want to talk about writing because it's what I care about. So thank you, dear patrons, and anyone who sends donations. Thank you so much for helping me make this content. But now, as we're in the outro, hey there, writing is hard. And as I told you before, it doesn't get easy with time. The mechanical parts of writing, the act of like actually putting words on the page with your hands on or your fingers on a keyboard, that gets a little easier. But the actual act of taking words from the ether and arranging them in the right order, translating the things we see into words and thoughts and paragraphs, no, that's still hard. And that's without even considering the context for those things and characters and their motivations and their personal struggles. That's hard, but you can do it. And trust me, it's a hard journey, but it's worth making, and I know you'll get there. Okay? Okay. Take care, writerly friend, and as always, keep on, please, keep on writing.